17th game for us or whatever it was, and he scored those 2 goals early on in the season against West Ham and QPR the next game, and so yeah, he's obviously learnt well at Sporting Lisbon, and he's back in England now. So yeah, long may it continue. But I think with Pochettino, what he does, he eases players in gradually. You know, we saw it with Fazio, very slow and nervous start with those 2 red cards early on. But if you look at the partnership between Fazio and Vertonghen now, you know, they played 17 games together. They've only lost twice. You know, but he's brought him in slowly, and he's done that with other players as well, and it pays dividends.
Yeah. I think you're right in that regard too. And when we, you know, as we slide into the FA Cup, you know, tie that was happening earlier in the week, you know, having those young players develop, and I think having these runs of games in Europe, both cup ties, we're still alive in everything that we started the season with. It gives them an opportunity to play, have that competition, be in front of the big crowds, get bedded in, so to speak, a lot faster than maybe some of these other clubs who are struggling, i.e. Liverpool, you know, to bed in 9 new players. They are suffering, you know, through the hardships that we had last season, trying to not only get 9 new players bedded in to your team, but to have the team respond to 9 new players. That works both ways. Yeah. And I think that having these opportunities to play these kids, and now an opportunity to play him in his natural position, like we said, it's going to reap dividends for Pochettino and the club. And the future is very, very lily-white bright. It simply is. And I know that when the FA Cup tie announcement for the lineup came out, Sam, you were blowing up Twitter. You were really enamored with this lineup.
I love that lineup. Oh my God, you could have written a novel about that lineup. I mean, there were so many things going on, and Danny Rose on the wing, and I mean, Julie, you're the writer. I thought that lineup was so poetic. I'd love to get your thoughts on when you saw that team sheet, just who we had playing and the undertones. You know, we're players being shopped, and I thought it was just a brilliant managerial move there to put those players on the sheet like he did.
Yeah, and I'm so impressed with what Danny Rose has achieved since Pochettino came in, actually, because I seriously underrated him, Broadway Danny.
Yeah, I did too.
And, you know, yesterday, he was all right, wasn't he? He was more than all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, Pochettino has got this guy who was kind of, I thought, you know, championship standard player. He has got this player really doing his stuff in the PL. I think Pochettino is a genius. I really do.
Yeah.
And it's kind of sad because we knew that there was a problem at that position because we went and got Ben Davis, he's not, you know, he's not a duffer himself. And,
no, good player.
And Danny was very professional and said, hey, it's competition for my spot, and I'll do whatever I need to do to ensure that I keep it. And you know what? Good luck to the lad, because I remember last season we all got on his back a little bit. He had some poor games, and we recognised it was a challenge for us. Well, I think we were happy to get Ben, but now we have the luxury of 2 very, very good left backs, and well done, Danny.
Mm-hmm. And to add to that, the way that the manager manages that situation, it's made both of those players better.
Because it's no secret that Davis is a much better, solidly inert defender. He's not going to blow up the wing, and when you're playing a Chelsea or a United or, you know, the Woolwich, you want to have Davis maybe in that slot to play the defensive role as it's needed. And in turn, when you play competition that maybe you're a little bit more susceptible up the wing and you don't need to have that defensive strength on that left side, then you can put Danny in there. And I think he was maybe, you know, tinkering a little bit with the lineup by saying, I'm going to put Davis at left back and put Rose right in front of him. A, for protection, but B, let's see what the kid can do. Because I think Rose, Townsend, you know, Lamella himself, these players are all benefiting greatly from this system that he's implementing. One touch, very fast paced, get up the field, find the open slot, tic-tac-toe, and let's put the ball in the net. Yeah. I think that's why we had a lot of trouble yesterday breaking down a 10-man defense. The system really isn't built for that, and you're waiting for them to make the mistake more than you're going to try to actually do something to force the ball into the net, so to speak. And like Sam said, I think it was brilliant. The lineup, testing it out, seeing what happens, and look what, we had 3 goals in 8 minutes between the two halves, and look at the people who were putting them in the net. Vlad, Capoue, Paulinho. Where's that been all year, right?
Right. I thought that was just fantastic. In fact, I wasn't at that game. I was sort of following. I'd kind of stuck myself in the hall because, I thought it was Chelsea. It was just going to be terrible. And my husband was sort of sat on the sofa, kind of feeding back to me. And that first Chelsea goal went in. And you can tell by the silence that Spurs had been scored against. Yeah. And then he suddenly started this kind of bellowing. And it just got insane. And, when Vlad has scored.
Unbelievable.
So it was one of the most marvellous experiences. So of course,
especially as he punched it in as well. It was handball, right?
Yeah. Let's ask.
The hand of Vlad.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Oh, that's
we were owed that. That mistake yesterday. That not offside. We were. We were owed that, I think.
Yeah.
We always talk about, it always happens. We've had a couple of moments that the balls sort of bounced our way. We got the right coin flip. Just real quick, I'd love to ask Daniel this. Is this one of the fittest sides you've ever seen in your years of being up in the box?
Yeah. The fact we can grind out results now so late on, as we have done consistently. The amount of times we've walked away from White Hart Lane hearing on our radios in the car that Arsenal have got a last-minute winner, and everyone used to say how fit they were under George Graham, etc. Well, hello, it's us now.
Yep.
And many people have made the point this week that Tottenham are starting to see that. The training regime under Mauricio Pochettino, the double sessions that we heard so much about earlier on in the season, you can see it now. I mean, it's the box-to-box midfielders that are scoring the late goals. It's Christian Eriksen. Okay, Harry Kane's got a couple as well, but he scored them late on, and that's an absolute credit. And the fact that we could turn defence into attack so quickly in the 94th minute yesterday. I know the goalkeeper was off his line, but that was quick. That was quick, and the fitness is there. It's evident, and it's great to see.
Yeah, and we've kind of recognized that in the pub. We kind of look at each other when it's tight, just like we were doing yesterday, and say, if this comes down to fitness, we're going to nick this.
Yeah.
And you could tell that Sunderland was getting absolutely knackered, having to defend the entire second half, and eventually it fell to us. They ended up flat-footed in the box, and Christian slotted it home.
Yeah. Wasn't it fantastic?
It's brilliant. I want you to tell me about your train ride home. That's what I want you to do right now. Tell me about your train ride home yesterday.
Train? I don't do public transport.
Yeah, Julie. No, Julie's. She was tweeting elbow to elbow in this train, but everybody's. I want to hear about this train ride home.
Yeah, well, so I was at the game with Alan Fisher and his son Tom, and we decided we were going to take a train back from Northumberland Park. So it was a 4-carriage train with thousands and thousands of happy Spurs supporters all queuing on the platform.
Beauty.
So, we kind of didn't get on the first train, but when we got on the second train, it was still bad. There were people kind of being moved down the carriage, and you still couldn't kind of get on the train. But, we got on the train, and I do my granny act when it's like that. I actually run marathons, so I'm a kind of fit granny, but I kind of hunch up and look really pathetic and bent. And this really nice sort of young guy got up and let me have his seat, which was great. But I was still having, it's sort of tweeting with your elbows. But it's so happy when you go back on the train when you've won. I can't begin to tell you the sheer awfulness of queuing for a train out of White Hart Lane when you've lost. I mean, it's misery, isn't it? But when you've won, it's marvellous. The world is such a wonderful place.
There are so many firsts in the world, and in May I get to go there and experience my first taste of White Hart Lane. Since I became a fan. I know, I'm so excited, and I hope that my train ride home after Hull City is a win. I'm hoping maybe to go to Stoke Away the week before. We'll see what happens with that. But
no, I'd avoid Stoke Away, honestly.
I keep hearing that.
All levels.
We'll see. I know, Manchester United come and they play Palace that week. Maybe I'll go catch that game or something. I don't know. I want to see maybe some youth squad stuff because I'm really into the youth squad. and the under 21s and under 18s.
Yeah, you've got to be careful how you say that in this day and age. But yeah, I'll take your point.
Yep. Really quick, before we break away and get into some just direct questions, I want to ask both of you really quick. FA Cup memories. What's your fondest memory, Daniel?
For me, 1981. I was asked to make an advert for the FA Cup sponsors 2 years ago about my memories of the FA Cup, and I was 10 years old in May 1981. And just a very quick story. I went to Hillsborough for the semi-final. The guy that was sitting next to me when we scored our second goal gave me his cap. We get to Wembley for the final in May. The very same guy who I'd never seen before or since was sitting next to me again.
Wow.
And it was just so, yeah. So this advert, it was all photos that my dad took in and around Wembley on the day of the final, like in the car. And we put this advert together, me and my friend Danny. And it was filmed at my house, and it was just the memories. And I remember one line in there that after Ricky Villa scored, I sort of cuddled my dad, and I sort of pulled away from that after the goal, and there was a little tear mark on his jacket. I think that's the first time I've cried at football. I was 10, and I've cried many times since, some good, some bad tears. But yeah, just walking out of Wembley Way after the game, I couldn't see above anyone, obviously being 10, but the feeling, and going to school the next day, that everybody was wearing white at school the next day, obviously being in North London.
Yep.
Everyone was a Spurs fan, and it was just the most incredible memory. You know, everything for Ricky, you know, the Saturday walking off when he was substituted, and you know, I've been lucky enough to speak to him about that, and the sheer elation of that Thursday night. I mean, we can wax lyrical about it, or we can have an hour's conversation about that night.
Yeah.
It was amazing. But I'll tweet you a link to that advert afterwards. And
I think we saw it a few weeks ago. We were doing some research, and yeah, it's a quality commercial.
Yeah, it's
well done.
But yeah, so when you talk about the FA Cup, 81 has to be up there, and then defending it the next year, and the pain of losing it in 87 on what was my mum's birthday, and yeah, that sport her birthday, but never mind. And then 91 as well, and the Cup semi-final in 91. It's just so many good memories. You know, I think I tweeted last week. I think it's our generation that has that feels the magic of the Cup. And yeah, I can't wait for next Saturday. It's a repeat of the 61 final, so all the nostalgia for that, and the 99 League Cup final all over again, and the 82 semi-final, Tottenham-Leicester. It's, you know, you talk about the FA Cup, and I think people of my age and my generation, we just come alive, and I love it. I can't wait to be back at Wembley again.
It's funny that we had almost the same conversation 2 weeks ago when the lads were asking me about my memories of the FA Cup, and I rattled off all those matches.
Yeah.
Because there really hasn't been a lot to rattle off since 91, unfortunately. You know, some semi-finals that just didn't go our way, but yeah, those
Ellen
games.
Road, Everton. Do you remember that one? 95.
Well, that I was talking about that because that was, I think, my second year here in Texas, and the coverage was absolute pants, so I had to rely on a Sunday paper.
Wasn't too great being there, let me tell you.
We had such a storming cup run, the win at Anfield with Klinsmann and Sheringham, and we had to beat odds on to win this. And I kept looking at that result in the paper Sunday morning over and over, expecting it to change. There's no way we could have lost 4-1. This has to be an error. Who can I call to find out if this was actually the result? I was gutted.
Two memories from that game. We got up to Leeds really early, and it took us an hour and a half to get off the motorway to the ground. It's about literally 500 yards. It's right off the motorway. It was horrific traffic. And then we had that one massive stand, and they had the three other ends. And that stand is built on some kind of pig farm, because every Spurs fan that walked into that ground checked the bottom of their shoes. It stunk.
Wow.
Leeds,
That's unreal.
So Ken, Stoke, Leeds, not a lot of dissimilarities.
Yeah.
Now, if you get the chance to go to the Stoke away game, you've got to go. You've got to experience an away game with Tottenham. You know, you know, Stoke's an intimidating ground to go to. There's a good atmosphere there. So if you want to experience it, you know, you're only over for 10 days, and we've already spoken about you and I meeting up before the whole game the following week. But you know, you've absolutely got to go and experience it if you can.
Yeah, I'm going to do everything I can. I've got a couple of Ollie Wadhams. He runs a couple of very fantastic Spurs pages on Facebook and Twitter, and he's trying to get us away tickets. He goes to a lot of the away matches, and you know, Ken away days would be just wonderful thing for me to talk about on the podcast. And
yeah,
all three of us are hoping to be over there for that Hull match. And